March 23, 2021. A ship the length of 4 football fields is cruising through the Suez Canal, going almost twice the recommended speed. A sandstorm hits. A gust of wind catches its hull like a sail, and in about 90 seconds, that single ship jams itself sideways across the entire canal and stops nearly 10% of all global trade. The ship's name was the Ever Given, almost 1,300 feet long, carrying over 20,000 shipping containers, owned by a Japanese company, operated by a Taiwanese shipping line, flagged in Panama, crewed by Indian sailors, and at that exact moment, wedged into Egyptian sand. Nobody planned any of this. It was just wind, speed, and one narrow stretch of water with no room for error. Here's why this particular traffic jam mattered more than almost any other spot on Earth. The Suez Canal is one of maybe 3 or 4 choke points on the planet where a huge percentage of global shipping has to squeeze through a single narrow lane. No detour, no side street, just one canal, one lane in that section, and now one ship blocking it completely. Within days, Lloyd's List, basically the shipping industry's newspaper of record, put a number on it. Roughly $9.6 billion a day in stalled trade, $5.1 billion a day heading west, $4.5 billion heading east. Over 400 ships were eventually stuck waiting on both ends of the canal. Not exaggerated for a headline. That was the actual estimate from the people whose entire job is tracking this stuff. Everyone remembers the meme, that one tiny digger next to a house-sized ship looking hopeless. What people forget is that the Ever Given wasn't even supposed to be going that fast. Normal transit speed through the canal is around 8 knots. It was moving at over 13, and it didn't have a tugboat escort at the time, unlike the 2 ships ahead of it in line. A faster ship, alone, in high wind, in a single-lane stretch of water. It took 6 full days to free the ship, tugboats pulling from multiple angles, dredgers clawing out over 27,000 cubic meters of sand and mud from around the hull, and engineers timing everything around the tides, waiting for a high tide big enough to help lift it. On March 29th, the Ever Given finally swung free. The canal reopened, but the backlog it left behind took over a week more to fully clear. Maersk, one of the world's largest shipping companies, later estimated its own losses from this single incident at nearly $89 million. The Suez Canal Authority itself estimated damages and lost toll revenue at around $1 billion. And the ship's owner did something most people have never heard of. They declared something called General Average, a centuries-old maritime law that lets a ship's owner legally require every single customer with cargo on board to help pay for the rescue, whether their specific container was damaged or not. While the Ever Given sat stuck, dozens of shipping companies made a brutal calculation, waited out, or reroute entirely around the southern tip of Africa, adding roughly 6,000 extra miles and a week or 2 of extra travel time to a single voyage. Some companies waited, some didn't. Either choice cost real money, and there was no version of this where everyone came out even. Here's the part that actually touched regular people. A container that normally cost a few $1,000s to book suddenly became scarce, and when shipping space gets scarce, prices don't rise gently, they spike. Combine that with a global economy already strained from the pandemic, and a 6-day blockage in Egypt turned into slightly higher prices on shelves thousands of miles away months later. The Ever Given didn't expose a freak accident, it exposed something a lot of economists had been quietly worried about for years. Modern trade runs through an incredibly small number of physical pinch points, and almost none of them have a real backup plan. The Suez Canal, the Panama Canal, the Strait of Malacca, a handful of narrow strips of water, carrying an almost absurd share of everything you own. Think about your own phone for a second. Raw materials mined in Africa, chips made in Taiwan, a screen built in South Korea, assembled in China, shipped through a canal in Egypt, delivered to a store near you. One ship, one wind gust, one wrong speed, and for 6 days, a chunk of that entire chain, for half the planet, simply stopped. The Ever Given is back in service today, still hauling containers, still passing through that same canal, presumably now at a much more careful speed, but the question it left behind never really got answered. If one ship on one windy afternoon could freeze almost 10% of global trade for 6 days, what happens the day it's not just wind? Subscribe to Trade Secrets if you want more stories like this, the hidden economics quietly running the world around you.